After this last election, I'm in kind of political limbo right now.
Interesting. You're a lot more sympathetic to the further left than I thought you'd be.
Sorry about that.
No, that's good. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
I'm going to vote Trudeau now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Horseshoe Theory, the most liberal podcast on the internet. Kyla is a streamer, political pundit, and psychologist who co-hosts the podcast Bridges with Destiny. And in this episode, we talk about how the Democratic Party failed to win the US election. We talk about addiction, we talk about Canadian politics, and most importantly, we talk about how liberal politics needs to change to survive in the current political landscape. Put a mask on, tell us your preferred pronouns, and listen to Not So Erudite.
Hello, welcome back to Horseshoe Theory. I'm very erudite.
Fairly erudite?
I'm on the erudite side.
I think I'm extremely erudite.
Okay, so you're even more erudite than me. So we've already broken sort of the linear spectrum.
I'm subpar erudite.
Subpar?
Yeah, like not quite mid, slightly below that.
What does erudite mean?
I think it's like well-read, right?
Well-read?
Scholarly.
Scholarly?
That's one thing I picked up on you when I was in Miami. That you
Is it?
you were erudite. You have a sort of reverence for institutions like academia.
I appreciate like science and learning and that sort of thing. Reverence for academia, probably not anymore.
No.
I'm kind of black-pilled on academia.
Interesting, because Brogan was like just talking about how much he loves institutions before you
Tell
came.
me about how much you love
I
institutions.
have respect for institutions. I would love
You love institutions. You and institutions. Mwah, mwah, mwah. You love academia. You think going to academia makes you smart.
Depends.
I'm an anti-intellectual. I don't think you should read a book. I think you should watch video essays.
I'm more on this side.
I think
now
video
in the
essays
conversation.
is all you need.
You know what? If have you ever read the book Deep Utopia?
Maybe you weren't listening to me. I don't know how to read.
When I said read, I meant listen.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I meant like an audible.
I actually haven't even heard of that one. What's that about?
It's the same guy who wrote, I forget his first book, but it was basically like the deep foreboding. So he wrote one book about how AI is going to destroy the world, and he recently wrote another book about how AI is going to like save the world.
Interesting. So
And
he's having his cake and eating it.
I believe in our AI overlords. I think they'll save us.
I think it'll destroy the world. But that's because I'm pessimaxed. I hate everything, and I think everything's going to work out poorly for us.
I'm with you on the AI overlords. You ever heard of Christian transhumanism?
Oh my God.
Please
He changes his ideology every like 30 minutes.
I'm not
Christian as
changing.
in like religion?
Or he finds a new way of
And then
justifying what he already
transhumanism.
thinks.
Yeah, there's a really interesting article on The Guardian of this woman who was in theology, and then she like got totally nihilistic on religion, became like atheist, dropped out, and then started reading Ray Kurzweil and was like, oh, all these things line up. Like the path to the singularity and the path to the second coming of Christ are like the same.
The singularity, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a Christian who believes that like AI and then accelerationism and like AI singularity fits within the Bible, and we're actually like building God with computers, but like a Christian God.
How does all that stuff grok to you? Okay, so here's why we had you
Rate
on.
it out
okay?
of 5 Yelp stars.
Yeah, 5 Yelp stars. I want because here's the thing. Okay, there's a lot of big changes going on in the world, and you're a liberal.
Well, after this last election, I'm in kind of political limbo right now.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's been I don't think you can walk away. So here's the issue is when I came into the election, the American election, I was like, I think it's going to be a nail biter. I didn't know who was going to win.
Yeah, 50-50.
But I didn't think it was going to be a landslide.
No, I don't think
and
anyone
I definitely
did.
didn't think it was going to be a landslide for Trump.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I was like, oh, fuck. I've had it wrong this whole time. And so there's been like a lot of weird liberal cope. I don't own any of that. I actually have been intentionally not reading most people's stuff. It's funny. I went to my friend who's a political science lecturer at a university. I won't say his university so he doesn't get doxxed or anything, but I was like, can you like build me a program that from like beginning up I can like rebuild my political beliefs, because I obviously was like totally wrong. And so I need to like figure out what was wrong, what was maybe right, what was like invalid, what was causing thinking errors. So if people ask me my political position, I probably fall progressively left still. I think that's like probably more personality than philosophy fundamentally, because a lot of what you believe is like what you feel is like what is alive to you.
Very true.
But after that, I actually don't know where I fall. I don't know what I think about the institutions right now.
See, this falls into my broader theory
Sorry.
that the
You brought me on to be a lib.
the center is outside of the Overton window now, like being like just generally center left progressive. That's outside the Overton window, because we broke the Overton window down the middle now, and we've drifted on both sides simultaneously, or we've heated it up from climate change, and the glass is stretched. I haven't figured it out yet.
Wait, what's your thought process on getting black pilled on institutions?
It's so crazy that you're politically homeless. Like you should not be politically homeless.
As a liberal?
Yeah, and there should be like a successful liberal party somewhere. But anyway,
I've always been kind of politically homeless because like the Liberal Party, like the Kamala Harris Liberal Party doesn't really represent, like, I obviously am like decently edgy. I'm not super PC and stuff like that. But I'm also like really annoyingly like about like policy.
Right.
And the reality is like policy hasn't been sexy ever.
no, it's all vibes.
And it's been decreasing since then, right? It's been it's all been vibes the whole time. It's just like finding the politicians are catching up. And so I think what I'm realizing is being like, oh, like policy matters, but it has to be like baked into an aesthetic that appeals right now, it seems, to the populist. And so like, what are policies that actually will help like the people I care about, which is like probably going to be like the average man, right? So like somewhere working to middle class, average Joe. Those people are by and large falling more socially conservative, and they're now voting for Trump. I don't think Trump brings about policy that helps them. So then if I think Democrats bring about policy that helps them, but they're so deeply unappealing in every single way that they got utterly decimated in the in fact, I worked with the Democrats like all year. I hate these people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I checked my NDA about what I can and cannot say, and what I can say is literally the entire year I was like, if the Democrats win, they don't fucking deserve it. I hate these people. Like,
Yeah.
I literally hate these people.
What do you hate about them?
Everything.
That's awesome.
They are, and here's the problem. I'm going to shit on the Democrats, but let's be honest, this is probably Republicans too. I just haven't worked with Republicans, and I'd probably be more grossed out in a Republican space, possibly. But there's a lot of like straight up colonization mentality, where they very much want to tell the group that they're trying to reach out to what the right answer is. So like one of the groups they wanted to target was young men. And they're like, well, why don't we just tell young men that we believe in them? And I was like, yeah, they don't care? Like, what do you mean? Like, you're not aesthetically masculine. You don't give them any, like, hero archetypes. Like, there's nothing appealing to about you. In fact, you've left masculinity so vacuous to them that they're like, maybe that sex trafficker's a good role model.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we're at right now.
It's true. It's true.
And so...
I think young men need more sex trafficker role models.
But good ones, you know.
Good ones, yeah, solid
Good
ones
set
that
yeah.
run their businesses as ethically as you
Effectively.
can as a pimp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That con women more effectively than Andrew Tate. What an idiot. He got caught, you know? So yeah, I just feel like when they were trying to reach out to streamers, they were like, well, which streamer can we pay to say this? And I was like, that's not how this industry works. Like,
Yeah.
you can approach people to be like, I think we might have a mutual interest and goal here. How would you like to like collaborate? And I was like, I'll advocate for you guys on that part. But I basically like said explicitly, like, I won't pay people to have opinions. So like bark up a different tree, which they did. They found other people who are willing to like do that. But it was just like gross that I would regularly be like, the only thing I care about is protecting the authenticity of the streamers. Like content creators have to be allowed to say what they want to say. That's like the point of them.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, but how much would we have to pay them to make them just say what we want them to say? And I was like, I don't like that. And so that's probably why I was like not as successful as
Interesting.
other people,
Yeah, I mean that's the whole. People think that the media is like they're paying the people to say that stuff, but actually they just hire the people that are going to say that stuff anyway. That's why JJ at the Washington Post have such a great relationship. It's because he's going to say all the stuff that the Washington Post wants.
Or
him to say
Tenet
anyway.
Media and
or
Tim
Tenet
Pool.
Media and the Russian assets. It's like those people
they'll
weren't
still
being
say
paid
it.
to be Russian.
I'm
They
just-
just
I'm gonna make
were
sure they keep
pro-Russian.
saying
That's
it,
how
yeah.
dumb the Democrats were. They didn't just find the people who want to say that already. They're like,
Because there are people that want
how
to say
do we
that already.
pay Kai Cenat to say what we want to say? And I'm like, you don't pay. He doesn't need your money. He's super rich.
Although it would be pretty funny, Kai Cenat just saying word for word Democrat talking points, really depressed looking.
on the 30-day Mafia. You know, he's making $60 million off his 30-day stream.
Really?
Yeah, Bill Nye was there.
Damn.
Denzel Curry was there. This is like
Big boys.
Yeah, this is like I think this is like the break of streaming into the mainstream.
You know what I think we
Yeah,
need?
it is.
I think we need a liberal Joe Rogan. What do you think about
Do
that?
you? Oh, interesting. I've not heard that one before.
Yeah, I think this could really
Did you
shake
frame
things
that?
up.
Actually, I've never heard this idea before.
Okay, so imagine Joe Rogan, right? And you know how the young men love him. What if there was like that, but for liberals?
What would he look like?
Blue hair.
Okay, what do you do? Fighter?
I don't know. I haven't thought this far ahead.
Joe Rogan, but it's like his bald head is painted blue.
I mean, I just think in general, when I look at like the liberal Democrats, they're like so deeply out of touch with the people. And I think to some degree, like I was, that we just like need a rehaul, which is why like any liberal that you hear like blaming kind of any group other than themselves, I think is like, I think there are people to blame, But the most important group to blame is yourselves, right? Like,
Yeah.
you have to figure out your own errors. And like the reality is that like, yes, I would say progressives have been louder culturally, but in the House, it's been liberals, like pretty true and hard. Like the Obama camp is pretty staunchly liberal. I guess they aesthetically dress progressive-ish, but not even that much. And then the Biden camp is even more moderate. And so, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of blame on all the sides, and it's like probably figure out what we did wrong first.
Right. What a rare political perspective of introspection after a loss. I've seen a lot of liberal. I have seen a lot of liberal introspection. I'll give the liberals that. Whereas it seems like the right has no introspection. Like if they lose, they didn't lose.
Introspect right. The issue is liberals will do a lot of like. Did you ever like look up old priests that would like beat themselves with like
self-flagellation?
Yes,
yeah.
self-flagellating. That's what liberals do. They're like,
right.
I'm introspecting. Look how like bruised my back is. And you're like, you're still useless. Like you're still useless, which means you're introspect. It's like when your like abusive parent is being like, I introspect a lot and I realize what I'm doing is wrong. And you're like, great. Are you going to change anything? And they're like, no, hold on.
Well, because this has been like 2016.
I feel bad about it. It doesn't mean I'm changing anything.
Yeah, like I was 18 in 2016. I was in art school, and I remember like seeing Bernie lose the primary and seeing Trump get in. I'm like, all those Bernie people moved to Trump. Like, this has been an 8 year. This has like been my entire like adult life in politics. It's been like, fuck, they're doing something wrong. And it's weird that only now do I see it like as a talking point. But I feel like if you've been on the internet or you've been like thinking about this for a while, you've known that like the Democrats and like liberal politics has been going the wrong direction for fucking years now.
Yeah, it's not cool. It's so cringe.
Yeah.
It's so cringe. Like, I don't know how else to say it then. It's aesthetically cringe. Like, there's nothing more cringe than like looking at like Joe Biden doddering around and like existing. Like, he's just not cool. Whereas like Trump, for all he's worth, like getting shot in the ear and then fist bumping.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Even though I think he's literally the worst and all his appointees terrify me, you know?
Yeah, Tulsi's cool. Elon Musk isn't
Tulsi's
cool.
okay.
I like Matt Gaetz. I'm glad they had that guy on.
I've
only heard this name. He's what's his issue?
He's the pedophile.
He's a pedophile?
He's the pedophile rapist.
Oh, of course.
He's under allegations for sex trafficking.
The Department of Pedophilia and Rape.
That's so awesome.
And he's going to be the Attorney General.
Department of Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm glad the right wing was like, we hate pedophiles in office, and then straight up.
None of those things don't matter. Like the Diddy stuff never mattered.
No,
there's so many pictures of Trump with Diddy. The Epstein stuff doesn't matter.
Okay, wait. So what's your impulse coming out of this? That like what do you have any specific points that you would want to change to make them less aesthetically cringe?
Probably. I'm going to be more cringe and say I probably won't say for a few months because I need to think about it. Like the reality is like what I would change is going, okay, we were obviously disconnected from like the average man, which I was aware of the whole time.
Yeah.
It's just I had no way of course correcting that, being like a pretty small fry on everything. And it's why I said I hate Democrats. So whatever pulse I had of being like, I hate Democrats, they're like colonizer mentality. Not good. You know, don't assume that you know what's better for people. Do you know Eddie Bernay?
No.
He's the worst human on the planet, okay? Close to Hitler, truly.
Close to Hitler.
Kind of. He did genocide.
Hey, Eddie Bernay, fuck you.
He's dead.
Oh.
From the grave.
Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you.
Wait, fuck
He's
you.
for sure in hell. Fuck
He's in hell.
But he basically invented the want economy. So in like the 1920s, he
I was
realized...
imagining this was a guy on Twitter that she hated.
His name's Bad Empanada.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I do not like Bad Empanada, but unrelated. He's not the worst human.
He was commenting on my videos when I was just getting started at Bad Empanada.
I think Sam's friends with him.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Interesting. Anyways, he's not as bad as Eddie Bernay.
Wow.
So this guy basically invented advertising that appeals to like vibes. He understood like what people want. And so he changed people's like purchasing, for example, from buying what they need to buying what they want.
Oh, like Marlboro Man?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's the one that got women smoking. He attached smoking to the suffragette movement and made like smoking an independence thing. And so the only reason he did that is because they wanted to increase smoking sales by like 50%.
Right.
There's this great documentary called Century to Self. I recommend it to everyone. It's amazing and it covers him, but it's very much about understanding that like what people think and value and want for almost like all people is like puddle deep. It's not that deep. And Roger Stone and Trump were really effective at keying into those feelings. Like, if you watch Trump's campaign, it's always post-Twitter meme. Like, he wasn't really on a bunch of stuff until it was a Twitter meme. Like, the dogs and cats stuff kind of blew up, and then he leaned even harder into the dogs and cats. Like, the squirrel stuff. They started freaking out about the squirrel after it was a Twitter meme. So they just like followed the crowd and the trends over and over and over, and then like put a skew of right Republican feels to it. And then the liberals on the other side just like had the most autistic, inappropriate, like cringe response. Like, did you see a bunch of liberals being like, you know what, that squirrel deserved to be put down? It's like, bro, the squirrel, that was sad. Like,
that was objectively
so sad. Poor squirrel.
Can't believe the Haitians went into that guy's place and ate a squirrel.
But even the fact that the squirrel thing got pinned on Democrats, because it's like they're completely unrelated, right?
Are they?
It would be. I mean,
well, it's New York. That's the only reason, because of bureaucracy.
Okay.
but they're like, look what Democrats did, and that was the narrative. It's like, look what Democrats did,
And then
there was
Democrats
never
were like, he deserved it. So they just like owned killing the squirrel. It's like, you didn't need to bite that bullet.
Wrong play there, probably.
Maybe don't kill cute squirrels.
Yeah.
Instagram famous.
Peanut. And the raccoon too.
Fred.
Fred the raccoon. Yeah, they
What?
That's the one I'm
there was
really
they
sad
killed
about.
the guy had a squirrel and a raccoon. They killed both.
Oh, damn.
Do you want to
Yeah.
know why they killed them?
Why?
So they bit the officers that were detaining them, kidnapping them, really. And then to check for rabies, the fastest way to check for rabies is to kill them and check their brains.
Oof.
Like,
Jesus
you could
Christ.
just give them a rabies shot. Also, I'm sorry, if you're an officer and your job is to kidnap feral animals and you get bit, that's on you.
Yeah. You think
Be better at your job.
I think they'd be wearing a
Also,
suit
they
or
held
something.
both those people
gloves.
outside their house for like 36 hours. Like, they questioned them on their front lawn for 36 hours, too.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, like the whole
Squirrel,
thing.
man. It's a squirrel.
Rest in peace, Peanut. Rest in peace, Fred the raccoon.
Burn in hell,
Harambe.
whoever that other guy was. The advertisement guy.
Oh yeah, fuck you.
Fuck Eddie Burnett, fuck you.
Eddie Burnett.
Thank you.
Burning in hell
Solidarity.
for moving more vibes. I don't know. I think we were gonna move vibes anyway, but he probably accelerated it.
Yeah. But he's the evil asshole who like benefited from it and then went around and told all of his rich friends. And he was very much a believer. He brought in this idea into politics specifically that the masses don't know, that they are stupid and you can just drive them by like carrot sticks. And the problem is he's kind of right and he's kind of wrong, because there's also wisdom in crowds, right? Like, the crowd is stupid because they're listening to Trump and being like, yeah, he's definitely, that 20% tariff's definitely going to help me, right? Like, that's stupid. But he's right in that they're saying, like, we want to change. Like, we're sick of this. And at least this guy's promising to change things.
Yeah, that's true. That's very lucid. I'm surprised. I'm surprised you came to that conclusion, because I know so many people who just think everyone who voted for Trump retarded, nothing to
Evil.
glean from them,
I know.
evil.
I'm getting prepped to fight a lot of my friends, so
Yeah.
you'll see me on the next arc.
But that does seem a little reductive. I've been mostly getting this information from JJ, who's got the bad Trump derangement syndrome, and him sort of trying to reconcile the fact that Trump won in a landslide. And it's been a lot of reality hit you like a wall. And it doesn't. Here's my projection of the future: national divorce, network states. Everyone lives in their own little bubbles. So you get all the Republicans in one nation, you get all the Democrats in another nation, and then you have the mega communist nation, which Brogan would never go to, and you can have like a Christian transhumanist nation. You can have all the guys in the mano
The
state.
homies?
Yeah, the homies in the homie state.
The manosphere.
The manosphere, which has a big bubble over it to protect from women.
Yeah.
And then the women are over here. We can put them in Georgia.
The state of the country. In the Caucasus Mountains.
Our queen will be, what is her name? Radical feminist pirate. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Radfem pirate.
Radfem pirate?
I know.
Is it Rad?
I know Radfem Hitler.
Radfem
Oh,
Hitler.
that's your, yeah. Of course, we all know Radfem Hitler here.
There we go. That's our queen.
That could be the queen, yeah.
Well, another interesting thing with this election, we were talking with JJ last night, is the gender divide. It seems like that was more prevalent than ever.
Yeah, we got the post-racial fascism going.
Well, post-racial fascism.
But it's men. Mostly men.
Mostly men, Hispanic men especially.
Hispanic men, yeah.
Yeah.
But then Trump gained in every category except for
Every
white
category.
women.
White educated women. Yeah.
Educated women.
Educated women.
That makes
That's
sense.
fascinating.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. And you look at like South Korea. There's the other thing that South Korea seems like
the 4D movement.
the 4B movement.
4B movement.
I don't know anything about that.
Really?
South Korea is like
That's big on the
way
Twitters.
farther along on a gender divide than we are.
Is that where like, because I know Japan has like the male herbivore movement,
It's
where like men are like, these women want too much from us, so we're just gonna become their ideal boyfriends in every way, but we will refuse to date them. We'll just fucking dump
it's
them.
like that, but for women.
But for
in
women,
Korea.
yeah, 4B. It's like it's Korean words, but it's like abstain from sex, abstain from having children, abstain from dating, and then like I forget the fourth translation.
Well, it's specifically dating men, having children with men, all that. You just women going their own way.
Yeah, basically. But it's a huge movement.
Wugtao.
It's a huge movement. It's like 10%.
Korean Wugtao.
Wugtao?
Yeah, women going their own way.
Interesting. I've never heard anything about it.
Enter feminist. Enter. Let's have the feminist.
Inform us.
I've been on way too many episodes of this podcast. I wanted to ask, like, if we take a question from the answer, what concretely can people who kind of... Sorry. Okay. What concretely can people do if they want to get involved in person stuff? Because I feel like the fact that this is all online after the election is a terrible way of channeling the energy. And I was wondering, like, what advice do you have for people who want to get shit done? Because I am very, very much in that energy. And yeah, like, so far I've been like volunteering at a women's shelter, but I was like, is there an efficient way? Like, where do we channel this kind of stuff? That's my question. Okay, thank you.
That's a great question. Well, Greg can tell you about a wonderful company named PV.
I sure can.
I'm just kidding.
I like them.
What's PV?
Progressive Victory, PV.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. Not about PV. I think that's a really good question because one of the most important things I've realized, because we did a lot of canvassing this year, that's part of the job that I worked, is, oh my gosh, at the local and state level, there is literally like 5 old people that decide like everything because they go to all the town meetings, they go to everything. Literally, if just like 2 young people show up, first of all, you're the belle of the ball, okay? You'll never feel hotter than when you show up to a town meeting. Everyone there is plus 75 and you're like 30 and they're like, you're so beautiful and wonderful. And you're like, I am, Jesus, thank you. But like young people, I think we're so like nationalized with media that I think it's made people feel like there's nothing I can do. And now more than ever, there's like, you can impact state law. Like state laws are decided by like sometimes like 25 votes. Like it's crazy how much you can do. There isn't like a simple direct pathway though. This is the problem with like all government stuff is it's all like very poorly run and it's very poorly advertised. But I imagine if you like have a local leader that you're interested in or you think does cool stuff, if you message their office, local leaders get back to you like that. They don't actually have that. Like people are like, they're probably getting emailed by like hundreds of people. They're not. They're getting emailed by like 5 people a day and it's the same 5 old people that are like angry all the time. If you message them and you're like, this is what I'm interested in, they will have those touch points. They'll be like, oh, if these are your 5, like if you're like a 1 or 2 issue person, say you care about like women's rights and the environment, they'll be able to connect you to all the local groups that do that stuff like pretty easily. So genuinely like reaching out to your local officials is one of the best like hub spaces because their job is to be connected to everybody else.
To make the
and I would say of all the politicians that I've spoken to,
local politician, like the mayor of your town, or
the
like,
only ones I like
what,
are local.
like what specifically?
Minus go to your district. Go to your local district. So your state has multiple districts. So you can do your state level district. So if you're New York, there's like New York 21. If that's your district, you would look up who is the city member of my district. You'll get a name, and their email will typically be right there, and you email that name. It'll be like that simple, and go like, hey, these are my like 2 to 3 issues that I'm personally interested in. What do you recommend? If you're in a district that votes in a color, like say you're more left leaning, and your district, like the person over your district is Republican, I'd go to a nearby district, like go to 20 or 17, especially if you're in a swing state, and ask what's locally there. If not, you'll have to look for like, say you're in district, again, New York 21, it's red, and say New York was all red, you'd need to look up Democrats of district, blah. And then you'll find their info and you can probably help them locally. And they probably have like 2 people and no funding, so they'd love help.
I like that. I like that perspective. I think it's I think it works against the trends of like when the local newspapers all died. I felt like, okay, I'm more disconnected from the stuff that's going on around me. And then as a direct result, I start thinking I'm American. Because like stuff gets so abstract on the internet that like eventually you just end up looking at the news which is the most interesting. And as Canadians, that's just what's happening in America. And then you don't even know what's happening in your province, in your country, in your hometown, you know. I think local stuff is where it's at. That's why I'm going to run for councillor of Ottawa, because no one's running in the place where my parents live.
Wait, really?
No, I don't know, maybe.
That'd be so fun. You come on our podcast and tell us that you hate government jobs and you hate government people and you hate Ottawa?
I hate inefficient government jobs where you get paid 8 hours a day to do nothing.
Fair.
Because that's
most
Ottawa.
of them.
That's
That is
most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The entire population of Ottawa.
It leads to resentment from me specifically when I know I'm paying taxes to people who aren't doing anything.
Well, at least this is why when people are like, why the populist movement have legs under it? It's because more and more people are figuring this out, of being like, wait, you do nothing.
Yeah.
Why are we paying you?
Yeah, the French language CRA Instagram page. With someone who's salaried $90K a year to run it.
I just think those people shouldn't have jobs, and I should have a universal basic income as a little trade-off.
Well, no, it's the same with the the LCBO here went on strike because they're put beer in convenience stores, and the cashier, unionized, cool, but the cashiers were striking as if they had essential work. I'm you're a salaried government employee cashier. It's dope you get benefits, it's dope you get fucking dental, it's dope you're salaried, but this is not a hill to die on. You're not this isn't a right. We're not losing a massive thing in the public for losing this job or for the LCBO having less competition, right? No one supported them in their strike.
Brogan hates unions. It's true.
I kind of hate unions by and large. Not all of them. I don't hate the principle of what a union does, but I think unions for public goods, something Nick and I have been griping about this entire weekend because the Canada Post, which is a subsidiary of taxpayers,
no, they run a $3 billion deficit every year.
Corporation is on strike again, but there's nowhere to negotiate because they're 3.1 billion in debt last year.
No, they run a $3 billion deficit every year.
They run a
$3 billion deficit every year.
And the workers want to be paid more. And it's it's too inefficient.
Yeah.
It's too inefficient. You can't be paid more. And this is the same issue with America. You cannot have cop accountability because cop unions just protect them. Because when there's fiduciary responsibility on the union worker, only for the staff member, they don't care what it costs you as the public. They don't care if black people are going to get put to jail more often. They don't care if incarceration rates are through the roof. They care that their cop doesn't get laid off. They care that the cop doesn't take a pay hit. That's what they care about. And it's you can't have, this is why unions aren't bad, because when you look back at the 1890s when people were burning down in textile factories because they were maybe we should have some anti-flammable plans in mind for our workers. Unions brought us out of that. So unions are good for a lot of private sectors. But as soon as you go to public goods, it makes the situation where American cops are deeply unaccountable in large part because their police chief cannot go against the union. They have almost no power against the union, and the union is so large and so funded at this point. This is, if you watch the Jeffrey Dahmer, it's a great case study of essentially two cops that did horribly. The police chief tried to fire them. The police chief tried to cut their pay. He tried to remove them. The union protected them, kept them their pay, and then made them the police officers of the year. And there was nothing the police chief could do. And then the union made negative sentiment towards them because they're all voters. And then the police chief was booted, right? And so it's this is why I'm not opposed to unions principally. Okay, unions can be good, but unions the idea that unions are just good is is just brainwashed.
All right, I'm anti-union now.
You're at the union now?
Yeah, I'm anti-public sector union.
At least public goods.
Yeah, public goods. Because that's what happens in Ottawa is you can do no work for 4 years straight and they can't fire you. You can literally you have so many protections. You can get away with just squeezing out so much money. The reason I specifically have a gripe with this is because that was my path in life before I became a YouTuber. I was going to get a government job, and then now I look back and I look at how little work they do and how much money they get and how many benefits. I don't have dental. I don't have fucking dental. Anyway, whatever.
And we pay so much in fucking taxes too.
Yeah, we do.
Can I share the story?
Yeah, we do. Hell yeah, brother.
The guy that you met at climbing?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a great example of why this guy makes me so mad. So there's a guy we met at climbing. I won't share his name. I don't know his name. In Edmonton, Alberta, though, okay? This guy, he's a Nepo baby. His dad is his uncle or something is some government official in Alberta. So he got placed in charge of one of the poorest First Nation reserves in Alberta called Maskwacis. And he's in charge of advocating for their infrastructure. If you've ever been to Maskwacis, they desperately need infrastructure.
Yeah.
Their roads are destroyed. There's multiple houses that are molding out. They can't get permits pushed through. It's It is hell.
Mold on Moscow cheese.
Mold on Moscow cheese. Not good. Not good cheese. Anyways, we met this guy climbing, and he's like, yeah, I love my job. So technically supposed to be on the books by 8, but like, I roll out of bed at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Fucking God.
He goes climbing until like 2, and then sometimes he'll check in, sometimes he won't. Then he'll call it for the day, and like every now and then he has to drive out to Moscow cheese, and he's like, yeah, they're pretty chill people. Things are looking good there. And I'm like, I've been there. Like,
Yeah.
no, it's not. Like,
Oh my
you could be there for
God.
30 minutes. And he's the guy getting paid. Like, I don't know how much he's getting paid. I won't say. I can't remember. It's all hearsay now, but way too much money. He's got
Yep.
no qualifications. He's only there because his uncle's another government official. And it's like,
He is an engineer.
what?
He's an engineer.
Oh, he's got an engineering degree.
There you go.
Never mind. He deserves all of it.
Yeah. That my friend from Ottawa, he wakes up at like 11, supposed to be on the books at 8, takes a meeting from his bed where he's like, okay, yeah, all right. And then he goes back to bed for another hour. So he wakes up around noon and then does maybe an hour of work and then, makes his songs and stuff. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah.
God bless him. Great guy.
God bless him. Great guy. And he's doing exactly what he should be doing in his position where he can work his side hustle and get paid full-time from the government. So anyway, I'm going to do unspeakable things to the government.
The Department
I'm
of
not a part of this. by the
Government
way.
Efficiency.
And she endorses
As somebody
it.
trying to immigrate right now. Not
Yes.
me.
No,
I'm
not
an
her, not her,
angel.
not her.
I'm an
Yeah.
angel.
Why are you here? You're Canadian.
Yeah.
Then you're getting your immigration.
To America.
Cool. And how does that work? Can we talk about that?
Sure. I was approved, so I'm good.
Oh, you were approved. Okay, so you're good.
But
How
I'm
does?
not trying to destroy the American.
No. She loves America.
I'm not like the Laurens, okay? Not all the Canadians are good, but I'm not a Lauren Canadian.
So you can get citizenship through a corporation.
It's not citizenship.
Green card.
It's a non-immigrant visa.
Non-immigrant visa.
So I can't
Okay.
vote.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't vote.
And how long does that last?
It's 5 years.
5 years. That's pretty good because
Then I can renew it for 7.
so many people think that like moving to America is impossible. Like JJ's been trying to move to America his whole life.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
I had to drop like 50 G's.
Jeez.
Just into the American economy, plus lawyer fees, plus immigration fees, plus living off of like minimal income.
Oof. But you can do it if you're rich.
So the E2 visa is what I did.
Okay.
And that's for rich people. You
Okay.
basically set up a company, and the reality is any country will have some form of investor visa for the most part, because it's basically saying, I'll come to your country and make your country money. And
Yeah.
no country's going to say no to that type of
True.
immigrant.
True. Interesting.
And I can't vote. So it's like, I'm just benefiting them. Doing through marriage is basically, it's pretty direct. It's not too hard. It just takes forever because it's a lottery system. So only so many people get through every year.
You can't just marry?
You can just marry. You just might wait like 2 years. Like it just
Oh,
depends.
I didn't know it was
on
a
if you get-
lottery. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
it's a lottery system with I think a bit of priority, but my understanding is it's mostly a lottery system. And then you can get sponsored by a company to go down as well. But if you're in media, traditional media, like good luck, because you need a degree that's in what you're doing. But if you're doing YouTube, there's no degree.
Celebrity visa though.
There's an O visa, but you need to be like big.
Damn.
You need to be like, I think they said 1 million minimum on Instagram was the last
On
one.
Instagram? On Instagram? What about YouTube?
I know.
Jesus Christ Almighty.
Yeah. So it's actually really hard to immigrate to the States.
Damn, I gotta post more Instagram memes.
What do you even think about like Canada and the U.S. being such separate countries?
Yeah. This is a big question as mentees of JJ McCullough.
And this gets brought up a lot on the podcast.
He's a big fan of the Day of the Rake, where America just annexes us,
Yeah.
annexes the leaves like a rake.
I'm for like Western annexation.
Interesting.
Growing up in Alberta, we're
Yeah.
not big fans of you guys out here.
That makes sense.
You guys have like 25 of the seats.
Hey,
We
not
have-
me. I'm Nova Scotian.
Yeah, so you know.
Yeah.
No, I'm directly responsible. for
Yeah,
this.
Ottawa, like Quebec and Ontario is kind of hated by everyone else, mostly because of representation.
You know, we didn't realize that until all the truckers came, and then we were like really shocked and
Like,
surprised.
why are you so mad? And we're like, you take all of our money.
Yeah,
and
no,
then bitch about
that's
us.
that's why it was so traumatizing for so many Ottawans. Is well, first of all, they work their government jobs
And they
in their-
honk. They were so loud.
with their cat, and because it's remote now.
And their cat kind of pukes a little bit. And they're
Yeah.
like, no.
No, and then people are mad at them from their own country, and they're like, "What? I didn't do anything." Like but they literally didn't do anything.
They literally, yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah, they're 130K a year and don't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Yeah. So I think like when I think about like the Western, like Alberta, Ontario joining America, it actually makes sense for them, especially if we get 2 senators. That's literally already more representation.
Yeah, true.
Like literally.
And then you have a path to Alaska.
Yeah, true.
And I'm really sick of this this perspective. Like I talk about politics a lot when I like live stream, and everyone's like, "Why do you care so much about American politics?" I'm like, Canada's not a different country.
Because
Like,
it affects our politics so deeply.
yeah, we're not culturally different. We're not like, you don't cross the border and it's like a different, like, we're the same. I'm sick of this. Like, Canadian culture is so nebulous to begin with. Like, what do we have? What's Canadian culture in 2024? What's Canadian culture?
We didn't kill all of our Indigenous people. We have Putin.
But yeah,
French.
a bit less
stuff,
slavery.
French stuff. in
French
general,
stuff. Yeah, we love them.
But we hate them. We don't like the French.
We love them. We hate them.
Yeah,
we don't
fuck
care about
'em.
them.
We don't love them.
I'm a Canadian nationalist. Big ice wall. No more Americans. And then climate change hits. We get all this beautiful arable land, and our GDP goes through the roof. And we, at this point in my climate change apocalypse future, it's 2050. You guys are overrun by climate migrants, and we just have a big ice wall and we gun them down.
You know, I definitely don't see a future of Alberta joining America without universal healthcare. I think that would be the biggest thing. I would never vote to join America without universal healthcare.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm pretty sure in JJ's world, we lose the healthcare thing.
Yeah, I mean, like again, I'm open to multiple systems of universal healthcare. I'm not saying the Canadian system's the best. There's single payer healthcare systems. I'm just whatever America's doing with like the private health insurance.
Yeah,
stuff,
not working.
Not into that. So Trump, if you want us, you know what to do. Okay, don't build a wall. Build universal healthcare.
We're gonna build universal income.
It's going to be the best income. It'll be the greatest healthcare. Our doctors will be the smartest.
My VP is Bernie Sanders now. That would be fucking awesome.
That'd be so crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think Americans are nicer than Canadians? This is something. No.
But
I've
they're
been blackpilled on this the last year.
well, they're way more human,
Way more human. I agree.
but they're not nicer. Canadians are like nice.
I think
They're just like vapidly nice. Like they'll be nice to you, but they don't want to be your friend.
that's what I mean. I think it's a deep niceness.
Oh,
I think
kind. You mean like kind?
Canadians
I usually say
are
kind is deeper.
scared. Canadians are nervous people. We're scared to intrude. We're scared to like make our presence known.
There's a lot of pretenses you have to get past.
Yeah, I've just noticed like all the times I spent in America over the last year, like LA, Florida, people have been nice. Like I have human conversations with like cashiers. I don't get that here.
You said one thing you said about Canadians when we were in Miami was they're ashamed to exist.
Yeah, we are ashamed to exist.
Yeah.
But in a way that like it's detrimental.
Like with the knees together, like
If you're walking down the street in Toronto and the guy in front of you drops their wallet, you're like, I don't want to intrude and like tell them they dropped their wallet. Like that kind of like
Well, I think there's,
nervousness
like-
that Canadians have.
There's like the
I feel like
nervousness and then the
you're just going after
antisociality.
me specifically when you say that.
I'm like going after you.
Yeah, I just relate too much to what you're saying.
There's very much like this white Protestant, like, don't be seen energy in Canada.
Yeah, I hate it.
That's really strong. It's really common in Europe as well. And I think it's very anti-human. I
Yeah.
think it's very bad. But I will say we're a lot more polite. Working with service staff in America, like, have you ever called customer service in America?
No.
It is hell on earth. It's the worst. They're always the worst people ever. Whereas a Canadian, I remember I had like this issue in America. I was calling the tow truck company that towed my car, but my car's Canadian, and so I needed to call the Canadian like embassy or something to like send me some of my papers. It was so annoying, and so I like called a bunch of American things. They were so grumpy and rude and obnoxious and like unhelpful. Like just constantly, I'd be like, "So like, what do you recommend?" They'd be like, "I don't know." I'm like, "This is your job, bro. Like, you think I?" They're like, "I don't know. Have you Googled it?" Yeah, and I got your number. Like, what do you mean? And then I called the Canadian embassy, and they're like, "I'm so sorry. That sounds so tough. Love to help you." So, like, there are perks to Canadians as well. They are generally nicer. They're more, like, if you branch through the antisocial shyness, most of them are really willing to help you and, like, really, like, welcoming to you. Except for Toronto white people. Not been impressed. We went up to this chick, and we were like, "Hey, can you give us directions?" And she was like, "No." And we're like, "We just want to check if this is the right train, because we took the wrong train, like, a second ago." And she's like, "No, I'm not willing to answer your question." And we're like,
That's so fucked up. In Toronto?
yeah.
Oh my
Toronto
God.
whites out.
But then we went up to the next very nice Indian person. Super lovely.
See, I used to when I had bank overdraft charges, I'd call RBC over and over again until I got a Newfoundlander, a Newfie, and they'd always give me the money back. The rest of them would be like, "No, you've done this 4 times this month." And Newfie would be like, "Oh, of course, bud. I got you." And he'd send it right back to me. Back before everyone was Indian when you called the phone.
Newfies
Yeah.
are like Australians in Canada.
Yeah.
They're very friendly and nice.
They're super chill.
Yeah. So Americans have way less pretense. They're much more human. I like them more. But also, because they're much more human, they're also, when they're mean, they're more aggressive, they're more in your face. Because I don't know if you experience much of that in America.
I liked it. I got talking to like Dan. Dan's like a ball buster. I feel like that's a rare archetype in Canada. And when I come across it, I always appreciate it. I'm like, man, this is like a person I never meet.
Yeah.
Someone who's just like, fuck you all the time. Doesn't matter if they how much they know you about you. It's great.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
appreciate it.
That's true. Dan is on the milquetoast side of angry American, but
The milquetoast side.
for sure.
Really? It gets angrier.
Yeah.
I ran into a mega guy in Honduras actually, and we were talking about the election. He's like, "You guys got fucking Trudeau up there." He's like, "You fucking voted for him, idiot!" And immediately, and I'm like, "I didn't," but I didn't feel like engaging, but it was very like aggressive immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "This, yeah, you don't encounter that in Canada very often."
No, yeah, politics conversations are very different in Canada.
Drunk guy with a mega hat in Honduras making fun of a Canadian because he thinks he voted Trudeau.
Yeah.
I'm gonna vote Trudeau now.
Yeah,
Just because
Just to spite him.
it's the craziest, most fucked up, sick, twisted thing to do.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or Maxime Bernier.
Ooh.
I normally flip a coin between PPC and NDP because I
Okay.
want the NDPPC, where they close the border and give us free healthcare.
You're a
For-
mega communist.
Yeah, I'm a mega communist.
Yeah, you're a Nazbol.
I'm a NASBOL.
You're a national socialist.
I'm a national. Wait, what?
National
No,
socialist.
not that one. Social nationalist.
Social nationalist, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, not the Hitler side, but
Yeah.
the other side.
So here, let me give you some ways the Democratic Party could change, and you give me a 1 to 10 rating on how good that would be.
Like Yelp reviews.
Yeah, Yelp review it.
Okay.
Okay.
Boom, you know the Costco guys? Boomer Doom.
Oh, I hate that shit.
Okay.
Not doing it.
They become more populist left. They become more like for far left. Talk specifically about class. Maybe throw in some Marxist terms. Says like a little dog whistle.
2-star. It depends on what you mean by populist. Because it could be 10 stars or 2 stars. It depends
Okay,
on
so-
it depends on what the rhetoric looked like.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just say like a Bernie Sanders AOC ticket.
Oh, yeah, I'd be like 8, 9 stars. Yeah.
8, 9. Okay, interesting. And then let's say like they had this exact same policies, but they were more edgy and populist about the rhetoric around it.
Like they would say retard and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
9 stars.
9 stars. Okay.
I think the rhetoric is the worst part of just being like, oh, I'm like, ooh, like very nervous. Because like, I'm sorry, when you're nervous about words, you're just not cool.
Okay.
You
What
can't
if
be
they
cool and
what
nervous
if what
about
if they compromise more with Republicans and they try to like get more into the center?
It depends on the policy. I'd be super mixed.
True. Okay. See that Bernie tweeted looking forward to working with Trump on making sure that the credit card tax is not more than 10%.
Did you tweet that?
Yeah, he tweeted that. He's like looking forward to that.
That's fun.
That is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the Republicans want to do things that I'm pro policy for, I'm just not really like by it. I'm not a partisan American person. So if the Republicans put forward a policy that I think is going to help the average man and improve the living situation of people, then I'm for it. I don't really care that it's red or blue.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. What would
Tariffs, not so much. Don't
tariffs?
worry about
No,
that.
we're against the tariff idea.
Boo boo boo.
Well, there's going to be no taxes though. Did you hear this?
I'm pretty sure I looked up somewhere that tariffs are taxes, but you know,
But then no,
each their own.
we get
They're different words. They don't. So they do different things.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's how that works.
Yeah.
you guys are going to be paying 0%. Well, you are going to be paying 0% tax
For sure.
and you're going to be like, you know what? Maybe tariffs aren't so bad.
It's actually just a threat. He's not really going to.
He's not going to do it. No.
He's not going to do it. He's just threatening them to get them to the table.
Oh man, I wonder how much he's actually going to do. That's crazy.
That's the problem with this presidency is everyone's like, so where was he lying?
Yeah.
And where was he not? You know, okay, well, he put Matt Gaetz as the AG, so yikes. Okay, no, Chris Witchey was made the Department of Energy head or whatever. Chris Witchey, I think his name is.
Oh, is
So,
he
like,
the big oil guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He was like, yeah, we're not transitioning. And you're like, great, awesome, okay.
What's Matt Gates' deal? I keep reading about it, but I haven't got
He's-
deep into it.
Oh, what is this
Pedophile.
word?
Besides
Pedophile.
pedophile.
Sedevacantvism?
Is that a thing?
It's a thing.
Sedevacantvism.
What does that mean?
Consider me
Sedevacantvism.
intrigued. It ends with an ism.
Yes, okay. Somebody is going to correct me on how to spell it. I always say it wrong. It's a sect of Catholicism that's very anti-Pope. They think that the Pope is too woke. They reject the chair. They do not believe that he
Pope is
like,
woke. It's sad
the
how
word
the
of
Pope
God.
has become woke.
And so they're like, they want to do, like, it started originally with them just wanting to do Latin prayers in church. And then it's kind of built into this whole thing. But anyways, sedecantivists, I'm probably saying it wrong, are very extreme, right-leaning, kind of typically want to establish like a monarchy within like a nation. like a theocratic monarchy.
Theocratic monarchy.
Yeah, and Matt Gaetz is very much in that tier and direction. He's very like pro banning. Do you know what abortifacient bans are?
No.
Okay, so there was a number of bills that were passed through the states this year that want to ban. So they're called they're life at conception bills. So they basically believe that the life begins at conception, and that means that any form of birth control that prevents implantation, which is a lot of them, should also be banned. So that includes IUDs, that includes multiple pill forms of hormonal control, because most birth control works by doing three things. It prevents ovulation sometimes, that's like hormonal, or it'll prevent fertilization, or third, it'll prevent implantation. So even if it's fertilized, it won't implant. And so anything that does that third tier, they want to axe it, which is a lot of medication, like a lot of medication. And he's part of that movement that wants to ban that. Most people that are part of that movement are fundamental Protestants or sedevacantist.
Well, this is where the 4B thing is becoming relevant now. Is it just comes from women saying like, birth control situations looking so bad, we're just not going to have sex. We're not going to date men.
The only way to have control over our bodies is to abstain.
Yeah, which obviously the right-wingers on Twitter are like, good.
If only Christians knew, right? Like if 20 years ago we told Christians like, hey, just let everyone have as much sex as they want and just take away birth control or something like that. Or even just, because I feel like this is going down before birth control is getting attacked. Like dating and stuff has just been on the decrease. Just let everyone have sex and give them phones. And then all of a sudden, no one wants to have premarital sex anymore. It's awesome. And Christians would have been like, genius. Except I think they masturbate more, so then Christians wouldn't be happy about that.
Masturbation's it's just looking at porn's a sin.
Yeah, Christian thinks that's really bad.
Yeah.
So they think spilling your seed, some of them.
I think masturbation of any kind is a sin.
I was looking this up because actually I got back from church and looked this up.
Really? I looked it up too. I saw masturbation in the sin list, but
if you're a fundamentalist, you would typically believe that it's a sin because of the story of the guy spilling his seed.
You couldn't have lustful thoughts. Like you'd have to think about it like a white wall and masturbate. You couldn't think about girls.
That sounds like a loophole.
That does seem like a loophole.
Usually it's spilling your seed, too fundamentalist.
Ooh, I really don't like that phrase.
Spilling seed?
No. Because it feels like an accident too. It's like, oops.
Uh-oh.
See, this is what scares me most about the Trump presidency. Was it before he got elected, it's the January 6th stuff and the not believing in democracy. And then after that, it's this weird thread in his party that's the Curtis Yarvin and then JD Vance by extension, this guy as well. This monarchy obsession.
There's a lot of Theocrats in the Heritage Foundation. Musk is actually tied to this other rich Silicon Valley tech guy who was sedevacantist, whatever. You guys get it.
Yeah.
He's not anymore. He's an atheist, but he's pulled Musk culturally in that direction.
I can see that. I can see that.
Peter
Thiel?
Yeah.
Peter Thiel. Yeah. We know
founder of PayPal.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna give us techno capital, blood money.
Yeah.
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 He's gonna fund the studio, and we're gonna do some dark things.
For Thiel?
Yeah, we're gonna
kill his pool boys.
We're gonna drink his pool boys.
Do you know about this?
There's gonna be a pool full of pool boy blood, and we're gonna bathe in it.
He had his pool boy killed. He was having an affair with his pool boy.
We're gonna fucking live forever.
What?
We're gonna live
Peter
forever.
Thiel.
You're looking at me like I
We're gonna live forever.
Did you know that?
We're gonna live forever with
Peter
the pool
Thiel.
boy blood.
He's gay.
The pool boy blood.
He's having an affair with his pool boy.
He wasn't really having an affair.
And then
He's not married.
had the pool boy killed. The pool boy disappeared.
He didn't have him killed. He was very depressed after the pool boy died under mysterious circumstances.
Whoa.
He wouldn't leave his house. He was like, it was
Imagine caring about your image more than just.
It was like that Roman Empire who had the young boy that died and built a statue to him, but then he was really depressed after the young boy died. It's the same deal. He was very sad about it.
Doesn't mean he didn't do it.
He might have done it, but
he might have done it.
That's all hearsay, allegations.
People do things they regret all the time.
We're not going to get him to give us techno capital if we're accusing him of murder.
Well, no, we'll kill the pool boys for him.
Thiel, look, we like to have fun on this podcast, but seriously, we need the techno capital, so we'll do anything. He funded an anti-centrist party in, I think, New York, where there was Curtis Yarvin reading slam poetry, and there was all these leftists and right-wingers, and the guy who was in charge of it, Peter Memes Brazil or something. Anyway, he was he overdosed on fentanyl at the party. That could be me. That could be you. That could be any of us.
Red Scare was there. Was Josh
Red
there?
Scare was there. I don't think Josh was there. Josh actually takes this story very seriously because I think he knew the guy that overdosed on fentanyl. So I want techno capital. Please give it to me. Peter Thiel. Hello. Hi. He's just known for like giving money, but I don't think there's actually any teal bugs out there.
We're accelerationists.
We're accelerationist.
We can get accelerationist money.
I'm de-accelerationist. I think it's all moving a little too fast.
It's not true.
It's all moving a little too
objectively
fast.
not true.
Yeah. How do you interface with technology?
Accelerationism?
Yeah. Technology going quicker and quicker until we reach the singularity. Does that mean anything to you?
Not really.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
Yeah. I haven't looked a lot into the singularity. Don't have a lot of feelings about it.
A lot of people just think that all of the culture war issues, all the economic issues, that's all downstream from what technology is going to do to a motherfucker. Motherfucker being all of society.
I think acceleration is an aesthetic you wear.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
Well,
Faster than what? Faster than how? How are you speeding it up?
So like,
to any
I'll
other
give you an
time in
example.
history?
Like, I'm an accelerationist, which means that I bet on the current thing happening more and more. So even when I lose, I just say it's accelerating the contradictions, yada yada.
That's the appeal. Is you can always be right.
I feel good no matter what happens.
That's why I think accelerationism kind of cringe.
Yeah.
It's like a defensive pessimist where you're like, I'm always either right or pleasantly surprised. It's like, and depressing and unfun to be around.
Yeah, they say that from the locker when I shove them in. They're like, I'm always right.
I just think accelerationism is kind of like a 20-year-old cool thing to wear and be like, yeah, I just like want to see the world burn down. And I'm like, what? Speeding up what and how exactly? Like, what are we even talking about right now?
But there's EAC.
And they're like, yeah, but have you ever seen Fight Club? And I'm like, yeah, I've seen Fight Club. And they're like,
See,
yeah, like that.
EAC's the new one. EAC is like the optimistic accelerationism.
Stands for efficient accelerationism.
Yeah.
It's an
UAC is the accelerate race wars.
No one is UAC anymore.
Yeah.
Just looking, it's just, an accelerationist just reads to me as somebody who's never participated in reading history. That's what I see when somebody's like, I'm an accelerationist. No offense. I just assume.
Yeah.
That you don't know anything about history.
That's fair. Also, UAC is not accelerating the race war. It is believing that no matter what happens, humans have no control over the process of capital. And so it doesn't matter what you believe, doesn't matter what you think. If you're LAC or RAC or EAC, it's just going to happen. This is a process of humans being alive.
Nick Land was UAC.
Nick Land was arguably UAC, arguably RAC. RAC is wanting to accelerate how many, like, the billionaires having all the money, basically, to the point where they think that the billionaires are going to move all the social change forwards and eventually just become, immortal robots. The peasants can suffer, and then eventually they'll bring about the singularity. Nick Land is arguably RAC, arguably UAC. It's kind of ambiguous, and he's changed his position on that over the years.
There's something crazy that happens when you have a lot of money where you like watch fantasy, like sci-fi films, and you're like, what if that was me?
Yes. Also having schizophrenia helps.
I know, it's crazy. They're like, what if I did that? They like watch like, what's that show? Carbon.
Yeah, Altered Carbon.
Altered Carbon, and they're
That's a
what
good
if
one.
I was one of those?
What if I was the antagonist in this? Yeah, that's a lot of accelerationism. Is what if I was the
What
antagonist?
if I was the billionaire?
Yeah, because like it's looking pretty good for the antagonist in this world.
They're happy. Look how many e-whores they're having sex
They're
with.
watching.
They're not even real. and they're having a
True.
great
They're
time.
watching a lot of cyberpunk and not understanding socio-political critique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they are. They
You're
just don't care.
looking sad. Go on. Go on.
Sorry, did I shit on acceleration?
No.
Too hard?
No, because you said you believe AI will free us.
Yeah, I just don't think like humans will let it happen. But I think if we like let AI take up control.
Well, that's what EAC is letting it happen.
Okay.
Yeah, EAC is just like taking away the like regulatory processes and like kind of like opening the valve for AI.
Probably not taking away the regulatory processes.
There's no way
wouldn't
to.
wanna open the
There's
valve.
no reason to assume that unregulated AI would have our best interests in mind. But if AI does well and gives me a little UBI, I'll drop a techno capital for Greggy.
I think it's where we're going though. It's inevitable.
It is inevitable. I'm just going to complain about it.
Well, it's just a matter of
I love complaining.
It's a matter of if these changes are going to happen overnight. You know what I mean?
I think the worst assumption we can make is that these things. I'm going to be so disagreeable here again. I'm so sorry. I don't think
Get disagreeable.
I don't
Get
think we should
disagreeable.
assume that these things are inevitable. I think like a lot of times when we read history, we're like, yeah, of course World War ended in this way because like that's how I read it. But the reality is that like so many things could have happened. World War could have ended so much sooner if the first assassination attempt. Imagine where we'd be right now if
True.
the assassination attempt on Trump was successful.
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't have a Trump presidency. That we wouldn't be talking about Matt
2
Gaetz.
inches.
I'd have a bulletproof vest on right now.
Assuming that the future is inevitable because when we look at history, it feels inevitable and linear, I think is like probably one of the most nihilistic ways to experience life because then it feels like there's no like going back to kind of like the question that was asked earlier about like what you can do. I don't know how you feel like you can do anything in this world if it feels like the rising tide of the future is an inevitability that's going to hit you. When the reality is like the future fundamentally kind of is what we decide that we're going to make it be. Like somebody could kill Elon Musk and Peter Thiel tomorrow, and then that legacy would be over, right? It's possible that China has like some crazy shit like in their deep dark under earth, and they're going to rise up and suddenly they'll be the superpower, and then we'll have a whole bunch of other problems to deal with. Like assuming that like the American Silicon Valley billionaire cultural hegemony is just like where our future is going and it will always go, I think is like a dangerous way to think, because then it assumes that like that's the bad guy and the only reasonable bad guy to be concerned about. And it's like there's lots of bad things with the Musk future, but it's like what about the bad guy of like Putin being successful in Ukraine and like taking that land and then like pressuring like what if he goes after Poland next? Like what does that look like? You know, what does Ukraine look like under Trump? And I feel like Trump just cares about what people say for the most part. So if we care about Ukraine, we have to. So I don't want to assume that there's this inevitability.
Yeah.
It really is what people decide that they want it to be and what loud voices say.
That's not disagreeable at all. I think that's just wise and very humanist of you. Yeah.
I'm pretty scared of what Trump's going to do with Ukraine, honestly.
Me too.
I think that like this isolationist tendency, like
Ukraine is an enemy of the West.
It's not even like it's not even like an isolationist tendency. It's like it's this idea that all war is like on its first principle bad and should be avoided. I don't agree with, because it's like we need to protect Ukraine. We got to make sure like Putin doesn't get a fucking single square kilometer of Ukraine, and I don't see that happening now.
Yeah, I'm very, very, very pro-Ukraine. My friend, have you ever heard? Her name is Ukrainian Anna. She goes on CBC and stuff like that. She's you might have seen her around. She's got like short cropped hair. She's very cute.
Maybe at some
Anna.
point.
She's a buddy of mine. She's been supporting the front efforts forever. She's amazing. Ukrainian girl. She was part of the 2014 rebellion, tearing down the statue. She was like holding the ropes, tearing down the statue. I think it was Gorbachev. It was one of the Russian elated leaders. But she's really cool, and she did a really good job explaining of like why Ukraine won't just give Donbass or Crimea. And they're like, what happened is that like they rolled into Ukraine, and Putin said, what if I just like raped you and then murdered you? And then Ukraine said, how about no? And they did a really good job of repealing it. And then all these Americans are coming along and being like, this is kind of expensive. Can you just get raped like a little bit? Like just a little bit. They'll just take Donbass. It's just a little bit. And then we'll like go back to peace. And the reality is like at some point they might be willing to say, sure, you can rape us a little bit. But like that is not success. That is tragedy.
Yeah.
That is unparalleled tragedy. Losing Crimea was just a tragedy. It was horrible. It was awful for the people. And like, if that's the solution that has to happen, and that's what the Ukrainian people decide for their sovereignty, like I will support them in that. But as long as that they want to fight, we should be like supporting them. Like I'm very staunchly pro-Ukraine. Like as long as they want to fight, we should be behind them. 100%. Yeah. Go.
You're gonna face.
I don't have anything against that.
You want to make a pro-rape argument?
No, not no.
really.
Based off the framing, I don't know if I want to push back on that.
I
no.
put you in an optical nightmare to disagree with me.
This might be of the folly of like the left's vibes. Is I think conservatives, like a low information conservative, might get the idea that the reason the left is so pro-Ukraine is because it's like protecting like the citizens or the culture, or like, you know, something a little bit more hokey than like the general principle of like Russia shouldn't take territory unprompted, which is like what most people who want to protect Ukraine believe in. That it's like the first and foremost. Of course, the other tragedy behind that sucks, but it's like that's what needs to be dealt with.
It's like the foundation of the World War II peace agreement. Like,
yeah.
If that's breached, like, I actually don't know what foreign politics looks like. Like,
no,
I
exactly.
actually don't know. I have no idea what it means if you can just take territory.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really spooky.
And it seems like I don't know, like, this is pretty abstract because I'm saying, like, left, but, like, the left hasn't done a good job of signaling, like, that's why this is important. And it seems like the right misunderstands why the left thinks it's important. And they see, like, the Ukraine flag in the Twitter bio, they're like, oh, this cringy liberal. And it's like, no, like, what's happening right now is, like, detrimental. Like, this could change foreign policy forever.
Yeah, the neocons are dead, though.
I don't think most people, especially in America, have a very good understanding of foreign politics in general. I don't think it's taught.
No.
I don't think most people understand, like, principles of, like, how many people even go to, like, Remembrance Day ceremonies anymore?
When is that again?
Yeah, exactly.
I wore my poppy.
But like most people don't.
Didn't see you with one.
It's hard, right? When things get so
forgot.
old, and then your boring teacher tries to be like, "I promise it's important," and you're like in grade 8. Why the fuck would you care? Like, why the fuck would you care about like the peace treaty and like sovereignty? And especially because people would be like, "What do you mean sovereignty? America and Russia have been fighting proxy wars in Africa forever." And you're like, yeah, that's the loophole. I'm not saying that that's good, but that's the loophole that we've figured out so that we're not doing full invasions. So like this full invasion is not the loophole. This is just breaking the rules, and we don't know what to do about that. And maybe somebody would be like, well, the rules shouldn't have existed if the loopholes existed. I would just say, tell that to World War II troops. I don't really know what to tell you there. But yeah, I don't think people understand like the nexus of like what these principles mean, because I don't even know how you interestingly like convey this to people.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you convey this to people in a way that isn't like shaming. Like I don't think people want to listen to me talk about it. Because A, what the fuck do I know? And B, they probably disagree with me and they have no buy-in to like believe anything that I'm saying, and they have no buy-in to believe what anyone is saying anymore.
You're a lot more sympathetic to the further left than I thought you'd be, which is good.
Sorry about that.
No, that's good. That's where I'm coming from. But where do you think? Are you optimistic still about the future? Because like I look at all these trends and I'm not seeing anything positive.
It's a tactical necessity.
Okay, interesting. Tactical necessity.
Choice.
I agree with that. I choose to be pessimistic.
It's a tactical necessity.
That's the real
defensive pessimism.
That's the real horseshoe theory. Brogan is dispositionally optimistic about everything.
It drives me insane though because pessimism creates bad realities.
Hell yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, you make all of it happen by hyperstitioning it.
Yeah, I agree with that fundamentally.
Yeah, we're working off the same axioms there.
Did you ever see Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm just taking Wayman's principles.
Right.
And he's the best character in this movie.
Who's Wayman again?
Wayman is the husband
Oh, yeah.
who wants to fight differently.
Do you have any final something that's been on your mind about how liberal politics should change and can change? That's like what's been really driving you crazy? Like, because you've been thinking about this a lot. This has been the hum in the back in the background.
And you've been disconnected from what everyone else is yapping about online, which is good.
Yeah. Like, what's the most important thing you have to say?
You have a nice, clean, clear.
I think Democrats are falling into the same problem that academics do, which is that they're disconnected. They think they're better than everyone else. They might be right about their policies and ideas being better than everyone else's, but if you're actually better than everyone else, you have to act like it. And that doesn't mean being like chauvinistic and disconnected. It means like, the lefty cringe stuff of like, oh, I have this education. I've like morally lucked out for some reason. So if your ideas are truly better, if you're truly part of like the better side, then the burden is fundamentally on you. Like it literally is. Or you can reject that model. You can be like, okay, actually, maybe my ideas aren't fundamentally better. They're just what I prefer. And then that's a whole different approach. Now you have to embrace a more collaborative approach. But I feel like if you're going to like parade around like a morally good person while fundamentally holding a view that you are better than the working people, that you are better than the crowds, then they're going to hate you because they can all smell it. It stinks. Like
Yeah.
your hypocrisy smells bad. And there's something like probably unhealthy for me, but I would literally rather be like stabbed in the face than like stabbed in the back, right? Like I'd rather have like a full-on brawl than have somebody like destroy my relationships by like leaving nasty comments and like being passive aggressive. And I very much see like the left filled with this very like non-human, trying to be like a machine, trying to like have all this pretense of what a good person they are and they're so holy. I saw it in church all the time when I was growing up, and it's just not real. And when people are like struggling and they want change, they don't connect with it because you're like, no, don't worry, like things are okay. And it's like, yeah, they don't feel okay, and so that doesn't really matter. So I think like got to get connected to the people. There's wisdom in a crowd. And if you actually think that you're wiser than the crowd, it is your responsibility to convince the crowd of that. And Trump did that. Why can't you?
There.
While you were talking, I got another question that I think is worth discussing. I think how much is like cancel culture bleeding into the offline spaces where we do politics? How do you have any tip on like navigating that in an interpersonal context? Like how, like, I don't know, from like what are some red flags for people who are gonna cancel you or some bullshit like that. I don't know. I feel like that's something that I've been seeing more and more like bleed specifically from online American culture into like all the way to Italy, like the Democratic Party, across the ocean, and that kind of scares me. And I don't know. I kind of wanted to know your thoughts about it. I'm also gonna sit here because it's awkward to like talk off camera.
Answer that, then Patreon questions.
Yeah.
Okay, one sec.
I'll make it easy for them to edit that out. Okay, I'm sure you've heard of Gamergate.
Yeah.
I think Gamergate, there's this idea that the internet is just on the internet, and it feels like the most technologically like ignorant thing to say. Like that was true in like 2008.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's not true in 2024.
No,
like
we all have phones. It's
like,
insane.
Trump and Musk won the election on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like what? I'm sorry, what? I think what happened in Gamergate is kind of a great example of, I actually am friends with the guy who started at Gamergate. The boyfriend.
Oh.
Do you know how Gamergate all started?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm friends with the boyfriend.
Huh.
Yeah. I met him through social media, super random world. So he gave me lots of really good advice when I first got into the industry because Gamergate is not what he wanted, right? He's actually like he's a left-leaning guy.
I imagine.
Yeah.
I imagine that everybody who like vents online about their ex doesn't want it to turn into like a death
Misogynistic, like kick out.
hate campaign the last 5 years.
Exactly. But the problem is that everyone felt the need to lie for a while. They were like, no, nothing's happening. No one is biasing these like independent gaming dev stuff. And that just wasn't true. They were. She was actually getting favor because of like sexual stuff. That was true, which is also kind of misogynistic in its own right. So everyone just denied it. And they were like, that's so offensive. We can't talk about this thing. And so like what happened is exactly what's happened everywhere, where all the people saying that got banned and blocked. They went underground to Gab, to 4chan, and then they echo chambered there. And a lot of people were like, who cares about those people? They'll never come back. Well, guess what? I don't know if the left won the culture war. They just were really effective at like blocking everyone from the mainstream like pages. But did they win the culture war? 4chan is huge. Nick Fuentes still exists, right? And is growing by the day. And so this idea that like cancel culture was successful or that like we ever cared about this stuff, it was always bad. It was always religious. We got very obsessed with words and not ideas.
I am extremely anti-cancel culture. I think it's very ineffective at both uniting the left and preventing abuse, for the record.
I think the best way
it's more like, how do I
overcome
not
it?
make it happen?
I've been attempted to be canceled a few times. Number one, it helps if you have less skeletons in the closet to be found. It's a lot harder to cancel you.
Okay.
If you have a lot of skeletons in the closet, probably don't become a social media figure.
Yeah.
But also a lot of companies are just increasingly caring less about this stuff, right? Like in 2016, if a hate mob messaged your workplace and was like, you're a bad person, everyone would care about that. In 2024, most companies are aware that if you just like ignore it for 2 weeks, it'll go away.
Yeah, I was thinking more like
friend groups?
when I try to more like acquaintances in like militant extreme leftist space. It's more like how can I explain this? So I've
Our gender ratio is all off here.
No, he's not booting you off. He's just making a meme. Finish your question.
Yeah. Sorry, the logistics are all off. I keep like introducing myself in episodes where I should not be. I was thinking more like, I noticed that like, for example, when I this is something that happens in any like local, super local, like left-ish, progressive-ish safe space kind of stuff, where it starts as a normal good thing, and then the most unhinged people are the ones who weaponize like leftist talking points.
The paradox of inclusivity.
Yeah. And then like it just becomes a place where either one insane person speaks and everybody else doesn't know what to say, or it like it weeds out the more, I'm gonna say, effective people, in my opinion. And I was wondering if you have any insight on how to prevent, because I feel like that's something that needs to be prevented, you know?
This is like the boon of progressives. So progressives are more in touch with people. They activate people. They get views, and they're impossible to organize. Somebody who's tried to organize them. Liberals are extremely easy to mobilize. They always want to do stuff. When I look at my canvassing efforts, it's like night and day. You get a liberal group, easy. You can get like 300 to 400 canvassers. You try a progressive group, you get like 120, if you're lucky. As you would know.
I would know. As Progressive Victory's #1 soldier.
And so, shoot, I think I circled away from your question again. If I'm understanding your question, it's essentially, how do you have like a progressive space that cares about working class people but doesn't like fall prey to this kind of like woke, scoldy, cringy, Puritan politics where you just are constantly kicking out and purifying each other, and not focusing on like what really matters, which is like most working class people won't succeed in a purified communist friend group because they like use slurs and they swear and they make racist and sexist jokes all the time. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, or at the very least, like how do we like create a space that is like effective at changing things small, when all the people that start working at the space tend to be like really militant, progressive kind of stuff, right?
This is why I like working with Destiny, despite how spicy he is. He's fundamentally left-leaning and cares about left policy, but he's highly mobilizable because they're super edgy. And there's a lot of reasons to dislike Destiny. He's an asshole a lot of times. But one thing that is good about Destiny that I don't think a lot of people realize is he absolutely puts his money in his mouth, like, and his feet where he says he will, right? That's not the same, but you get what I'm saying. The reality is that, like, if you actually care about a policy succeeding and you keep finding the people that are leading it are getting in the way of that policy because like the wrong person's leading it or they need to get out that, then they never cared about the policy in the first place. They only cared about their purity politics. They just don't like religion, so they made it somewhere else. That's what they've done to your movement. And honestly, what we do like in our Discord, we ban them. Get rid of them. Literally get them the fuck out.
I've noticed this.
Only keep people that are like willing to mobilize, because they'll probably have slightly more moderate ideas in general, because typically when you talk to the opposition, it's really hard to hate people when you talk to them, which tends to moderate opinions, but then you get actionable groups. And the reality is like you need to have like progressive populist veneers while having liberal spirit mobilization. Like that's really what you need in a movement. And I know liberals like the big bad word, but damn, it's easy to mobilize those people. Like really easy to mobilize those people because they really, really care. They're just terrified of like saying the wrong thing. So we need to get rid of this world where like Kamala Harris can't say something like lethal military and suddenly like 30% of people are like, no, would never vote for her. It's like, what does she even mean by that? Like, what does she even mean by that? Who cares? We know she's going to be better about foreign politics than Trump. He's going to be a war hawk. Like, we know that. Like, who cares? And we have to get rid of like this pretense stuff. And like to anybody who cares about that stuff, I basically say like, fuck you, I don't care. Like, which is why I've ended up in the Destiny camp. I think fundamentally, I'm not saying Destiny is the only person like this, right? That's probably why I'm friends with Dreg and JJ and stuff like that, is you guys also have varying positions, but you don't care if I say the word retard. I don't think. You haven't kicked me out yet.
I'm a little offended.
You're on the fence.
The theme song for my stream is a song called I Am Retarded and just plays on loop before I start streaming.
Yeah, and then you have to do the other thing of protecting from the edgy slip. Because one of the problems that happens is when you get too edgy is there's people like me who say retard, but I would never say that to somebody who I think has like a mental disability to make fun of them. I say that about like my husband when he like loses his keys over and over. Right? And so it's like figuring out that fine line between the person who's making that joke but they don't mean it. And people
I never said retard before I started hanging around Brogan. It's true.
Making
you poison my fucking brain.
Right? So like Casey Tron just recently called me like a pick-me cunt who like sucks like cottage cheese dick. I don't think Casey Tron is actually a sexist or a misogynist. She's just like weaponizing low-hanging fruit because she's mad at me, right? Whereas like when somebody who's in like the Andrew Tate camp says something like that, I know that they're sexist as well. And so like when people like sling misogyny and stuff at her, I don't think she's a misogynist, right? I wouldn't be like, she could never work on a women's movement. She's for sure a misogynist.
Okay, Brogan talk.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, we're going to go to Patreon questions now.
Yeah, we have to do Patreon questions.
And if you want to ask questions and hear the rest of this podcast, sign up at patreon.com/horseshoe theory.
I thought he was pointing to the actual human being we have behind the camera.
Oh, Dan? No, fuck him.